Yo, In this video, I'm going to describe some conversations or some questions I've been asked. And these conversations really only happen with people who have gone through similar things. Like I had a girlfriend that was like in her 30s while I was in my 20s, but she had like a fake eye problem from getting beaten and having it popped out as a child. Just, oh my God, she was just totally messed up. She definitely went through the same program, same schools. Her parents spoke no English, so not a single teacher or anybody came to her aid because nobody could even speak to her parents or get through the language barrier. So, yeah, she's getting Social Security for life because the state knows something is fucked up here. They know she has been totally messed up by her parents. And it's a totally different situation to mine, but there are some related areas. But I definitely didn't get beaten so bad that my eyes popped out and I was scarred up. Or, I mean, I got the pill part of it just like her. She got less pills, more physical. I got more pills, less physical. We both ended up with scars. Hers were more on the outside, mine are more on the inside. She ends up with scars emotional. I end up with scars in my organs. Um, I get to move on from my emotional. She can't. Anyways, while having conversations with several people, and I've been able to help a lot of them, sometimes reconnect them with families. People tell me I'm kind hearted, or I should be a therapist, or I seem like a different person when I'm like in the warmth indoors, heat, and I'm like this, kind of like this conversation here. I'm indoors, I'm warm, I got a heater on me. But it can change very quickly. It can change to a stutter with a breeze, or even a blockage, or even a shock, meaning like my neurological condition. But when people ask me about my illnesses and everything that went on in my childhood, and they can hear it so real, it's so hard to talk about. But they ask, what do you even call that? Or when you were trying to tell the doctors and teachers and your father and your mother what was going on with you, what did you call it, or what did you say at those times? Because I spoke up so many times, I must have been blue in the face. I mean, I lost count of doctors. I must have been on like 10. I even tried to stay with one doctor because I told him like twice, and then I was like, like this, some signs here? Like, can you pick up on what's going on here? But he never did. But anyways, part of the problem in childhood is there isn't a real word for somebody taking pills and giving it to you at different doses and switching them out, or even traveling you all around when a doctor seems to be catching on or finding something, or choosing lesser treatments on purpose. Like if your kid seems to have a coordination issue, he's falling during fireworks, he's shaking. Like if she was a competent nurse, she should have been able to read that this, a coordination issue is a symptom of a bigger issue like autism or a neurological condition or something in your nervous system or epilepsy. I mean, all those can cause coordination issues. But I didn't even get to really see a neurologist or a doctor for them. Instead, I got to see a ballet instructor, a tap dance instructor, and a what do you call it, gymnast instructor. By the way, every single one, only guy there, dressed in totally just clothing that, and one of which, the ballet, somehow it was connected to the school. Oh, that's right. All the girls that were in ballet went to my school. That's right. I forgot about that. And they all were older than me too. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Going to ballet. All the girls in the class ahead of you are in the same ballet class as you, and you're the only boy. Oh, I'm sure that went well for me. No, it didn't. Um, Anyways, and don't forget, I'm now I can't control my body, so the ballet is kind of helping, like the physical therapy helps. I do 5 hours of physical therapy every morning just so I can walk. every day. It used to be like an hour, then it was 2 hours, then it was 3 hours. And as it goes on, I get injured more and more. Someday I'm not going to be able to walk at all. It's becoming very real to me. I mean, it started out a little, once in a while. Then I had to do physical therapy for an hour, and then I could walk and get to the bathroom and do stuff. Then it was like 2 hours. Now it's like 5 hours. And even I'm still pretty weak. I still don't have much traction. Eventually, I get half my strength, and I can like do many hours before I have to rest. But it takes hours of physical therapy, and if I miss a couple days, oh my God, I don't look so good at all. I mean, things do not, my body falls apart. I can't eat. My stomach ends up going bad. I have to eat graham crackers and lots of stomach things every day. It's a lot of this. It's a lot. And it's been like this. I used to, at like 15 years old, if I didn't drink a glass of milk every morning, I used to vomit from my medication. Every single morning, I had to have a glass of milk, or I literally would vomit so hard that my breakfast would come up, and it was always from the medications. Always. It was terrible. I vomited for like a month and a half straight before I figured out what the milk thing was going on. And the doctor also figured out that the milk would help. Instead of changing anything, he just said drink milk. Oh, the solution is to drink milk? I might have a more serious underlying issue that never got treated thanks to these doctors, my mother, and the lack of care. I should call it neglect, but I got to admit, even though my father says, he didn't want me, or he didn't raise me, or he didn't do as much work as my mother, he did way more. My mother's was backward shit. It had to be undone. I had to do work to figure out her shit was bogus. My father gave me advice, and I did. At first, I was wondering about it if it was good advice, bad advice, good advice, bad advice, like Patricia, my mother. But no, no, he always had good advice. He always had stuff that he was hoping that would work out for me. He was always hoping that the things that he was trying to tell me to do or showing me was going to benefit me in some way. Meanwhile, my mother was trying to be as destructive with her teaching as possible. The most psychotic teaching I ever saw. Luckily, I knew this, and I had to be very careful. I developed a hate because I had to look out for these landmines that came out of her mouth, the things she wanted me to do that were dangerous. Uh, like going to the doctors and admit that you're schizophrenic and get pills for schizophrenia, even though it's very clear that I'm not. I never was. No doctor has ever said I was. I don't ever hear voices. I even had a person across the hall in the orphanage I was in, or no, sorry, well, I guess that would be. Most of them were orphans, and I was the only one adopted later. But anyways, and he was schizophrenic, and they hear voices, and they know they're schizophrenic. I'm sorry, my mother had a mental illness where she wanted me to have as many diseases as possible, and 99% of them were made up. Some of them she created and are now real. You can do that. You can create illnesses and diseases in your child. It's illegal and should never be done. And the fact that nobody cares that it was done to me is unbelievable to me. That this could be legal and allowed, and nobody cares that there are people going through this. And there's lots of people going through this, I found out. I've connected with a couple of them. I should start a support group for them, because a lot of them don't seem to be getting any recognition for any of the abuses that they've had to suffer in any of the orphanages, hospitals, any of it. Any of the stuff that some of these doctors have, but like double medications in the same hour.